Comments below. Tone?
Yeah.
We have one special segment to talk about before we close out for the night.
Oh, it's special.
It is special.
Jesus Christ.
For a reason.
Yeah, I knew this was fucking happening.
Yeah, you knew it was happening.
You're a piece of shit.
Halo Season 2 is out now.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Episodes 1 and 2 are available now on Paramount Plus, and I sat through both episodes, Tone.
Mm-hmm.
After the disappointment that was Season 1. The campy, kind of weak story, convoluted story, a lot more camp than I would have liked. Some shoddy CGI, some disappointing battles, some weird character arcs. The first season was very kind of like just underwhelming. So for me, I mean, you fucking hated it.
Not the only one.
And he's not the only one. I do feel like this is a show that is very divisive, more hate than probably love, and I get that. But I actually sat through the first 2 episodes, and from my perspective, it is an improvement over the first season, which isn't hard to do.
Not saying a whole lot.
It's not saying a whole lot, but I will say this, man. It's definitely an improvement over the first season in terms of its pacing, its storytelling. It's more focused. It's not campy, and the action is actually pretty good. I know there's a lot of things you disliked about the movie, and the reason the series, and the reason I'm looking at it a little bit differently now is that they've already established we're not following the Halo storyline that we know, and I mean, watching The Last of Us, I can appreciate when somebody follows the storyline the right way. You as well. You're like, man, this is fucking sweet. They did a great job
video
with
game media and turn it
into a great thing. The way I'm going about this now is like, look, I love sci-fi, and I know you do too, and I'm not saying you don't. I just understand how important Halo is to you. I don't have that. That's the difference between him and I. He fucking loves Halo games and the franchise and what they've established and what Paramount Plus could have easily mined for their stories in the first couple seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Start with the Master Chief story that everyone knows. Take it to the big screen or the little screen. And then if you want to expand on it later on down the road, cool, but you've established things that, is lore, like The Last of Us did. This one set it up in the first season. We're going to do whatever the fuck we want. And then we're going to have Chief doing uncharacteristic things. But this season, I decided I'm going to watch it just to see what it's like because I love sci-fi. And I'm going to go into it with the same mindset I did with Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal is doing its own thing. There's certain things that they do a little bit better in terms of like paying homage to. But I mean, Twisted Metal's never really had like a real solid narrative like Halo has.
And it's not really had entries as frequent.
Exactly.
Or extra media.
And then I'm also trying to go with look into it as like how they plan to do Fallout. Fallout's going to be like just another story in the world of Fallout, which you can mine Fallout and Last of Us. Like we know that HBO is looking at other spin-offs. Because you can mine stories and create stuff. It's a wide open universe.
Fallout is an endless story because you could have a gazillion vaults and time frames.
Bingo. So now coming back to Halo, I've like accepted. I'm like, okay, look, we're not following Chief's story that we know in the games. That's fine. I'm not fully invested. I've only played Halo 1, Halo 5, and Halo Infinite. Yeah. I haven't done 2, 3, 4, and I know that 2, 3, 4 is where the meat of the story is. Oh, yeah. But watching this, like, I'm looking at this from a production value and from story. And like I've enjoyed the first 2 episodes. I do feel like it's a vast improvement over the first season, Tone.
Mm-hmm.
Not like what like I know you're not watching, but is there anything about the show that you're curious about?
Yeah. So did they change the Cortana actress?
Actually, I think she is different now that I think about it. Because I thought when they showed her, I was like, she looks different.
Right. Yeah, I remember you talking about that beforehand. So. That to me would be like a weird like I don't know why. I mean,
I didn't think there was a major issue with her
unless they're trying to make a bit like how like in the games progressively over time like graphics got better because of the graphics
possible
and limitations.
Which is the weird thing to focus on if you're doing that with your show.
What about Quan? Was Quan?
That was the thing that I really appreciated the most. And I mean, maybe they're trying to reset Kwan's character and her storyline, but Kwan in the first season, in my opinion, was one of the weakest links. Like, I just did not like her performance. I didn't like her character's
She got
decisions.
too much screen time for an irrelevant kid. Like, it just didn't.
I didn't like her story arc. I didn't like any of that shit.
No.
She is in the first 2 episodes, but it is a much more reduced role. Like, she is very, like, I think she's going to play a part in Soren's storyline with his son. But by all accounts, she is almost like irrelevant in the first 2 episodes.
Okay. Now, what about the CGI? Which, you know, I like the action spots where it turned into a video game in the first.
Oh, we got
one. It's campy. You saw the radar.
Yeah.
He actually had the fucking helmet on.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. I thought that cool, but the CGI wasn't great. Like, did that look better?
I thought it looked pretty good, but I think they did a good job at masking it this time, because I feel like in the first couple of episodes of the first season, it was broad daylight.
It looked like CG.
It looked like CGI. In the first episode, there was an awesome battle on, is it Sanctuary, I think, where the fight is? I think it's Sanctuary. And they're going up against the Covenant, but it's foggy. It's kind of at night. Like, basically, the planet is under attack. Like, it's going to get glassed over. And there is an awesome battle scene where Chief is trying to find some Marines that are missing. He goes up into this fog, and like you see this energy shield appear in the fog, and like these Covenant soldiers come bouncing out. And there is a nice little good night. Hey, thanks, Crash. Thanks for hanging out, dude. There was a nice action sequence there where he's battling multiple Covenants, and that was really nice. And it was cool because they're in the fog, so it kind of masks some of if the CGI is dodgy, it's kind of hidden underneath there, but it does maintain some excitement. Like, it's pretty cool because, I mean, he's in the fog and he's battling Covenant, and you see these energy swords everywhere. So that part of it was cool. And there was another scene in the second episode that was like kind of in the dark again. So they're kind of masking it so it doesn't look so like CGI.
Right.
Where it's in the dark, it's easier to cover that up.
Okay.
So I really like that part of it. I thought the action was pretty good, but it's also Ackerson, who is like the guy who's taking over for Halsey, because Halsey was like, I think she was in prison in the last season. And so she's being held accountable for her crimes. And Ackerson is this guy from O&I who is taking over her role. And he is like that typical British actor who you just like, I hope he fucking dies at some point. And he's very menacing, and he kind of goes toe to toe with Chief in terms of like in the bureaucracy of things, like, you know, not so much in the battlefield, but like just two egos going at one another. And they have some really good scenes. He is a dick. He's a total dick, and you're just like, he's kind of giving off those Joffrey vibes, like, you know, I hope this guy gets pieced out.
Right.
But it's effective. Like, he's a good actor. Like, he's really good, and it seems he has. But the thing I like about the story is it's building up. It's not feeling rushed. They're leading up to something. You're not sure who to trust just yet. You don't even know, even though Ackerson is somebody who's super fucking annoying, and you're just like, I fucking don't like this guy. I'm also wondering, I can't help but wonder if there's more to him than that. You know, because him and Chief early on, they kind of established like this understanding, like Chief's like, oh, you used to be in the field. You've seen combat. So they kind of have that connection, but he understands that Ackerson is also on the other side of the table. He's the business guy, whereas, you know, Chief's the grunt, so to speak.
So he's talking back and forth with them?
Yeah, a little bit back and forth. So they're going back and forth. There is, you know, a mutual respect at first, but then they kind of start getting under one another's skin. And Ackerson, at first you're just like, man, this guy, he's going to be a problem. But at the same time, at the end of the episode 2, you're just like, I wonder what's going on with Ackerson. There's something going on with him. So it's interesting. Like, I just feel like it's done a good job at not rushing the story along. It's not putting up like obvious signs like where it's going. They're really building up like, what is the Covenant up to? What are they doing? And I really appreciate that. Like, you know, you've got that mystery. You kind of got some good action. And with Soren's storyline, it's getting really interesting. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with him. Halsey is still there. And Ackerson has a plan for her, but I'm not sure what that is yet. So he's too shady. He's definitely a bad guy. You think so? I mean, I get it. He on the surface, you're like, this guy is a fucking scumbag. Somewhere he's gonna be a problem. There's just something else there. They wouldn't have established that point where like they have an understanding about, they have something to connect on. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just, it is an interesting story early on. It's not campy. If there was one campy spot, it's when they turn the focus over to the rubble, which is kind of like this lawless area where Soren's hanging out because he's a fucking pirate. And they kind of lean into like, I mean, this is Wild Wild West, so we got to make things extra, kind of like over the top goofy. And I was like, I could have done without that. By all accounts, they've kept that to a bare minimum. and the story has got me to the point where I'm like, okay, I want to see where they're going with this.
So I'm gonna guess the helmet's been off most of the time. Outside of battle
He's
scenes.
had it off. Yes,
Okay.
we've seen him go to dinner. We've seen him go to certain spots. But yes, the
Well, at
helmet
this
has
point,
been
he's fucked in the goddamn show. So I mean, we might as well watch him take a shit while we're at it too, since he's shitting all over the
off.
goddamn.
Did he take a shit? He was in the bathroom. I don't think he took a shit.
Well, I mean, they're shitting all over the fucking series. Why not?
I get it, and like I said, like if as somebody, if they would have done with The Last of Us what they did with season 1 of Halo,
They might, yeah. Everybody might.
I
still be
would
on
have
board.
been fucking pissed.
Oh.
Like, we got Ellie and Joel, but we're doing a whole fucking different routine. I
Right.
would have been like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. Yeah, and well, the thing I think at this point now, even if I had debated going back in season 2, the fucking what's his face, I don't even care about him anymore. Like, and I really liked him in American Gods, so I was excited of him to play this role. After he's sitting there like a fucking puppet with a hand up his ass, and the whoever's running the show,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been doing their fucking world tour of advertisement for it, and doubled down on a lot of the fans' reactions about it, and going, well, it's not really, we're trying to do something, do blah 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 about the helmet again and stuff like,
Oh,
what?
you're talking about Pablo Schreiber?
Yeah, like at this point,
Yeah,
if
he should've kept
you
his mouth
fuckers,
shut.
you fuckers, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Or
that was a good
or
move.
they could have addressed it a little bit more, like, hey, we understand it's not for. That's not the way they addressed it.
Yeah, he made it sound like he was saying grow up, and I was just like,
Right.
yeah,
Well,
you
okay,
can't do
guy.
that.
Well, you're literally playing a character that then at this point you don't clearly get and enjoy, because you're if you wanted anybody to get on board with you,
You just fucked that up. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
at this
remember
point.
reading those comments, and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, dude, shut up, man.
that's not the way you roll it to the
That's
people.
not how you.
yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
how you fix the
This-
things that you've wronged them on.
This series would not exist if it weren't for the people playing the games and the books for 20 fucking years.
Boom.
And you should be kissing their ass for you having a fucking job, you piece of shit.
You know,
So,
and it's just
kiss my ass.
wild to me because Microsoft and 343 are involved in this, and for them to like not even try
well,
to dial back.
to be fair, 343 over the last fucking
they
10
don't even
years,
know where they're going with Halo.
yeah, I was gonna say their track record hasn't been so great anyways. So,
But circling
'em.
back, I just want to say, like, look, like, I understand because again, if they would have done this to The Last of Us
Mhm.
and butchered it, I'd be fucking flipping tables over and shit. But I don't have the same perspective that you do with Halo. I don't have the hours played in the stories. I don't have years invested.
Mhm.
But like from a standalone perspective, like watching just a sci-fi action show where they're really building up story around a different type of story. As a standalone story, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of cool with this because the action's awesome. I like Chief's character. I actually think he's actually a little bit more relaxed in his role. He doesn't seem so wooden. Like actually, he's got some good scenes. But I just like what they're doing in terms of the story, building up some of the arcs that they're going to explore this season.
Mhm.
So I do think it's an improvement over the first season. I didn't really care for the first season. They've improved on the shitty CGI. They've improved on the pacing. They've given Quan less time. Now, if you want to ease her back into it, but make her story so her character isn't fucking annoying, I'll hear you out. But right now, with what's going on with Soren and what's going on with Halsey, and then obviously what's going on with Chief and his team, and what the Covenant's up to, I think they've done a really good job at like going, hey, let's make this shit interesting and let's get people kind of invested into it. So I thought they were decent. I thought the first 2 episodes were they were good, but compared to the first season, they were really good. So I was like, finally, we're moving it up in terms of quality and the writing and the presentation. So I didn't hate it, but I'll be curious to see how it plays out. But I did want to get your thoughts. I want to get your questions because I know I don't expect you to watch this, but I did want to get you to ask, questions about what changes they could have possibly made that would have improved upon the shit show that was season 1.
Yeah. It's tough because I don't have a whole lot other than just a couple things that really bothered me in the first one. So,
Yeah.
but like I said, I have no interest in. Like I said, if they want to try and get anybody back on board, they had their opportunity and they completely lambasted that. And when you go into like the different, the Halo Reddits, the this, that, and the other, the fan, or even the comments, to the fact where like they tried to show me a Halo advertisement on Facebook and I blocked that and said, don't ever show me this again.
Wow.
I mean, listen, and everybody wants to watch. That's fine. To me, I believe in full on that. It's about principle for me. It's about integrity, and it'd be like watching the Big Lebowski, but he doesn't have a sweater. So
that would bother me.
There's certain nuances and character things that are important that make the characters the characters. And I know limitations in the video game was why it was a quiet stoic hero, but they played into it throughout the
Yep.
time period, as the game progressed, and made it part of the character's background. And he wants to go out there and say, he can't tell a story or whatever with a helmet on.
That was cringe.
The Mandalorian's got something to tell you, so it is what it is.
Personal experience. If I wanted to experience the best Halo story, which game am I playing?
Halo 2.
Halo 2. That's the best one to go with.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they cut out a quarter of it because of time. Microsoft made them push it out. Go
Really?
figure. Yeah, there's a chunk of that game. There's like 15 missions, 16 some missions. There were supposed to be more. That story was supposed to be even more in depth and a little bit longer, and they cut out a lot of stuff. But you learn a lot. Like even compared to the first, like you jump to the second, you learn a lot about the Halo universe.
Mm-hmm.
You get Keith David in there as the Arbiter.
Arbiter.
You're teaming up with the Arbiter. You're learning about the Grave Mind and everything, and how it all connects with like the Flood and everything. Like
Man, I gotta play the second one, man.
it's much more deeper.
I heard Reach is really good too.
Reach is really fucking good. Reach is
is that pre cheat?
yeah.
though?
So Reach will probably. I think I heard rumors Reach might come up into this too because
they do mention Reach in
Reach is a big thing, and I think they're gonna try and tell a probably watered down bitch version of that in this because it's classically one of the main planets of like the core systems that gets glassed over by the Covenant.
Sure.
And the Noble team is all part of that, and you play Noble 6, and and the missions are so varietied, well done at that game and that was the last one that Bungie did, and that story was absolutely incredible, and the 343 and the multiplayer is really good. It was like a good mix of like Halo 3 and Halo 2, whereas Halo 3 was more fast paced. So yeah, Reach overall is the best, hands down.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, well, Halo 2, for multiplayer. I could understand if people liked Reach more than Halo 2. Story-wise, because it's Chief, Halo 2.
Oh, okay.
But I can understand why a lot of people, Reach is probably my second favorite overall of the series.
Okay. Interesting. Awesome. Well, hey, we want to get you guys girls' thoughts. What do you think of Halo Season 2 so far? Episodes 1 and 2 are available now on Paramount+. Let us know in the comments below. We want to hear from you. Tone?
Yes.
That, my friend, is going to be that.